Hello and welcome to another session of Me Programming Daily. Thanks for joining me again today, and I hope you had a lovely weekend. Now, let's dive into the code. Today, I'll be working on drakon renderer again, specifically on connections between skewer blocks. During last session, I implemented some connections between some letters and words, namely the start terminator and the collection of skewer blocks, and the end terminator and the collection of skewer blocks. Today I'll try to flesh out the implementation by adding more connections between the remaining skewer blocks. Let's see how this goes. So I hope you have your coffee ready, or whatever you choose. Let's start. I think what would be useful to begin the day with, or this session with, would be to switch the troubleshooting mode back on. Or back off. Because I want to see some precise connections today. And let's change the line width to just thin, if we have it imported. Thick. So now we don't need this, but we can survive with this warning. Let's try to render it. Oh, this is actually not a warning. It's a full-blown error. Or is it an error? Maybe not. No, it's just a warning. That's just read confusingly. Anyway, so the diagram looks like this without the bounding boxes, which is good. Let's do one more thing. The default width of a bounding box, let's change to 3. To make the diagram look more horizontally spread out. And we can already see that there are some errors with connections. Okay, perfect. So that was a good test. And also, another thing I thought about during the weekend was that even though the skewer block has this data constructor, which looks like so, and this using the list of skewer blocks is preventing me from giving this type parameter its own implementation of the renderer type class. I don't remember where I started the sentence, but what I did mean to say is that despite the fact that I'm using a list of skewer blocks, should not be stopping me from using something else and still letting the user provide the input as so. The input will probably change anyway, so I might as well just change this type. Sorry for skipping like that. I might as well change this type to something custom built. So I can give that custom built type an implementation of the render type class. But for now, we can live with just these functions, render prime. They're sticking out a little bit, but not too much, so that I have to go out of my way to provide a custom type to put in here. Anyway, let's focus on fixing these connections. Oh, this is weird. This should be width. Okay, let's remove that thick. I can't look at that warning. And now that first connection, this should be 0.5. And the same should apply here. Okay, so now it's in the middle. Now let's proceed to rendering connections between skewer blocks. That should be slightly more interesting. So here we have the skewer blocks that are getting folded like so. So all we really have to do is just to add a connection like that. Or better yet, so that shouldn't make a difference. But it just gives us a hook for those connections to be rendered. That's too far. I shouldn't have collapsed it, but here is a render connection. And here, knowing that this won't be accurate, let's just go with something really bizarre. And here, 4 minus 4. So if that indentation is correct, and it looks like it might be, we should be seeing one connection rendered in a pretty incorrect space. Okay, perfect. So we know that x we can already use because x is the constant of our calculations. Let's see how that looks like. And the y coordinates we'll have to calculate on the spot. We have 3 connections. All right. This is where the first collection of skewer blocks begins here. Just y is incorrect. Second collection begins here. Sorry, second collection begins here and third collection begins here. But this collection and this collection share the same x. So let's do this. The first is y. It still won't be correct. Sorry, this should be new y. It still won't be correct, but at least we should be getting a reasonably correct number of visible lines on the screen. Okay. I'm slightly worried that we didn't get a connection here. Oh, but this is because this render prime is used only in forks, is it? should be here, render skewer blocks. Oh, so we can actually reuse this somehow. Would this work? Oh, this needs to return a tuple, so no, we won't be interested in this. So for now, we can just park it for a minute. Okay, so y needs to follow the same rules as the ones we defined here. Or similar. Something like this. Okay, so we start from the right y. Now we need to fix the x. We also need to render the cinder a single block. Or maybe not. Let's use y here just to get a good understanding of where more or less the line would end. or how many lines would we have? We get 1, we get 2, 1 and 2. This is not correct because we're still using y. So the x and this will be the same. Oh, times 0.5. Okay, now we're starting to see some artifacts. Oh, but this is connected correctly. This one is connected correctly. Just the y's are incorrect. Oops. So the new y. I think, let's see. Oh, we shouldn't base anything on the y. It should just be new y. So this is not correct. Let's just revert most of it. And this will be minus. Okay. Let's try to give it a name. Okay, that's a bit better. Then we need to shift it a little bit. Okay. We start at the correct spot. Let's experiment with this. Okay, that's much better. I'm not sure what this is. Oh, it's probably the X of, oh yeah, it's the connection from this to this. All right. So maybe we should be doing something else. And instead, the connection should go always first. So that the connection starts here. For that list. But I don't think it would matter here. Yeah. Then we'll have to render the exit of a fork. But maybe before we do that, let's render the starting connection. Let's fork to the first letter or word. This one is already done, and this one is also mostly done. So I think let's just render this bit of connection and let's wrap the session up there. Okay, I think I know what's happening with this. Since this is treated as one bounding box, this weird connection is rendered just in the middle of that bounding box, which is here. Okay, this is something to think about. So let's render the connection here. It's not going to be correct, but at least it will give us an indication of what correct could be. Now we have our origin. Let's see how this works. We don't have to worry about this connection from the fork because it is already being rendered by the list of skewers. Okay, X is not changing and it should be. Naturally. Right, so now let's do some maths. So this should be width in units of a question times default bounding box width and before I see how this and this will be times 0 and this will be interesting. Let's see the width. Width ratio. This will definitely not be correct, but hey. Okay. This is not correct. It will be width in units of L. Oh, but are we already have calculated? Okay, so we don't have to do that. It will just be Rx times 0.5. A little bit more work required. Yeah, something like this. No. All right, now at the Y. Okay. Now, instead of making it a 2-point line, let's make it a 3-point line. So let's copy the second point. Sorry, the first point. this is coordinates, not offsets. Okay. So the x in the second point needs to change. To this. Mm-hmm. Oops. What did I do? Okay. I'm a little bit worried about this, but we'll get to it. Maybe I shouldn't be, because that connection will be rendered somewhere here. Because remember, this is a whole big bounding box, and the middle of it just happens to be somewhere here. So I think if we zoom in, close enough, there's slight overlap, I think, here. No, I'm seeing things. I think my theme has changed. I think today I was using this one. All right, let's quickly fix this connection and we'll wrap it up for today. Mm-hmm. So this is already sort of working. Now we just need to figure out this guy. And I think I already have the answer. Let's see the render function. Let's change the function signature for the function for this renderer prime to return the whole tuple. So it's a diagram and also a double. The reason I'm doing that is it will enable us to reuse this function here and in the main list of skewer blocks. So 212. So here we just say FST and FST. $215. Or did I do it wrong? Probably. Okay. It doesn't change anything. So in this list, I should be able to just call render prime with our list of skewer blocks with the origin. Let's not remove it yet. And now we should see the connections between these two. Okay. Not exactly what I had in mind. Oh, it can't be origin. It has to be origin slightly modified. Because here we see that y is slightly modified. Okay, nothing we can't fix. So this is P2 with x. And this. I think this should be fine. Okay. So high level, we're nearly there. What also needs to be resolved is these connections that should be drawn after the list of skewers, but that we can finish sometime in the future. For now, though, I think it makes sense to wrap the session up for now. So I thank you everyone for your attention today. I hope you have a lovely week ahead. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.